Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the storage manager feature of pManager 7 to simplify the provisioning of storage for your pServers. So as you can see here, we've not got any storage groups defined or allocated anywhere. So the first thing you need to do is go down to your storage settings, which is here, and click on SANs. And the first thing you do is you create a SAN. So I've already created some fiber channel V switches within pManager. So to create a SAN, it's quite simple. I click on create, and then what I do here is I select the fiber channel switches I want to use. In my case, I only have 2. Then I give it a name, so I give it say production SAN. Now here I can define the fabric type, so you've got the option of mirrored or single. If you chose single, you'd only pick one of these 2 fiber channel switches, and you would use this for a single path, maybe a development environment. But in my case, I want a redundant path, so I would select mirrored. And what this does essentially is that when you assign a storage group to a server profile, it allocates 2 virtual HBAs, VHBA0 and VHBA1, and obviously they're connected to the 2 fiber channel V switches that we've defined in our SAN. And obviously those 2 fiber channel V switches will be uplinked to different physical switches and uplink ports on your chassis, and then they would go on to different physical SAN switches in your SAN infrastructure, and obviously at some point they would be connected up to your physical storage array, ideally on 2 different physical ports, so that you have end-to-end redundancy, so you can lose a switch, or maybe a cable can be disconnected, but you can carry on processing IOs. So that's pretty much how you define your SAN. And the remaining part is you have to assign target WWNs, boot targets. So if I click here and click Add Modify, I can then specify a target device. So what I'll do is simply cut and paste the value into there. So this is a target device for one of my symmetric storage arrays that's attached to some of the pServers in this configuration. So I'll click OK and click OK again, and then I'll do the same thing here. In the real world, these worldwide names that I'm assigning here will be different, but this is a demonstration environment, so I'm just using the same target device for this particular demo. So I click OK, and again OK, and now I click Save. So what that's now done is it's created my SAN called production SAN, which is using these 2 fiber channel V switches, and we've defined the target devices, and as you can see it provides a list of what they are. So normally you would click add arrays here, and you can then assign specific storage arrays to this SAN, but I haven't defined any yet. And the way you do that is by clicking here where it says storage arrays. So I simply click here, then I click discover, and this menu pops up. So here I will put 10.28.0.31, which is the IP address of my SMSI server. SMSIS stands for Storage Management Interface Specification, and this is an industry standard protocol that many of the storage vendors support now. So this is a server that's out on our network that's managing our EMC storage infrastructure. So I know there's Clarions connected that are managed by this server, and there are also EMC symmetrics managed by this server. So I put the IP address in, and then some user credentials, so a username and a password. So I'll just quickly enter the password, and then click submit. Now as you can see, it's queried the SMI server, and it's provided a list of storage arrays that it's managing. So I've got 3 Clarions and 2 symmetrics. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this particular symmetrics here, and manage it that way. Everything it does is out of band, so it's not going over the fiber channel network. This is going over an IP network, so the PANOps servers need to be able to talk over the network to your SMIS server. So bear that in mind when you're configuring your environment. So now I've got the symmetrics. What I can do is I can go back to my SAN, and I can click Add Arrays, and here I can pick the array I want to query. And you see we have this thing called resource filter, and this is basically a regular expression filter, so I can search for a specific text, so maybe there's a specific name of a storage group that's configured that I want to bring into pManager control. What I'm going to quickly do is just cancel this, and if I go to my list of worldwide names, I have this range of 16 worldwide names here, and what I want to do is I want to do a query against these names. So I'll quickly just highlight this here and do a copy. Then I'll go back to my production SAN and click Add Arrays. Then I'll select my symmetrics and I'll put that worldwide name in there. What I'll do is I'll delete the last 2 digits and put an asterisk there, so it's a wildcard search. So I'll look for anything with 20, 00, 0005, E6, C361, colon 0, colon, and then it could be 00 through to FF, for example. So now I'll click Add. Now, as you can see, the storage array has been successfully added, and it's now querying the array using SMIS, and this is indicated by this activity icon here, where you can see it's initializing. And if I click on tasks, we can see that it's 2% in there, and it's scanning that array now for storage hosts, and it's looking for the particular regular expression that I've defined. So this is going to take a while. So here we've got a few informational tidbits. So we have the process ID, the status, what it's actually doing, its progress, who initiated the scan, and the start time. And obviously when this finishes, we'll have a completion time here. And obviously this is running in the background, so you can carry on doing things with PAN Manager. You can create LPANs, pServers, whatever you need to do. So this is going to take, this typically takes about 20 minutes for this particular storage array. It's all down to how you've got your storage configured, how many LUNs you have, how many storage hosts. It's down to the complexity of the environment. So it can take a while depending on the storage array, but as I say, you can do other things while this scan's in progress. So we'll leave this running, and we'll come back in about 20 minutes and we'll see what's happened. What I'm going to do in the video is I'll just accelerate it, so it's going to look really quick here, but it's actually going to take about 20 minutes to complete. So we'll let it run and we'll take it from there. Okay, so as you can see, the process is now completed, and if we scroll down, we can see the storage groups that it's found, and these are what it's found based on our search criteria, where we specified the resource filter. So we can see there's 5 storage groups here. So we've got a couple of 10 gig LUNs and a 40 gig LUN. So what we can do is we can drill into these in a little bit more detail. So I can click on a particular storage group and we can see the endpoint. So these are the worldwide names that we defined, and this is what I searched against. So you can see that we've got a worldwide port name, worldwide node name, worldwide port name, worldwide node name, which are my 2 paths for my 2 SAN switches. And of course, there's some details here about the LUN. So we've got details about the array, its model, serial number, capacity of the LUN, the vendor, and we have the array configuration for this particular. And if I want to, I can actually modify the name of this group. So if I don't like the name that's been given to me from the storage array, I can give it something more meaningful. So I could give this the name of, say, the pServer profile that I want to assign this to. So maybe it was a database server. I could put, Oracle Rack DB1, for example. I'm going to leave it in this case. And also, bear in mind that this storage group, it has 1 LUN associated with it, but it could have multiple LUNs. It could be a large database server where you've got the OS disk plus 2 or 3 data disks for your Oracle file systems to sit on. So it's all the personality associated with the fiber channel, the virtual HBAs, the fiber channel V switches, the uplinks out into the SAN, and the LUNs that storage array is going to present. So this makes configuration of server profiles very easy. So a couple of things you can do is I could go to storage groups now, and I can allocate a storage group. So I could pick a storage group, then I can assign that to an LPAN. Very easy. Or what I can do, for example, is I could click on LPANs, for example, and create a new one. So we'll call this one storage. So I click submit, and then I can click on storage groups and I can add one. So let's add the first storage group in this case with 1 LUN with 10 gig capacity. So we click add. Now what this has done, it's not just added, it's added the worldwide names for the virtual HBAs and the 2 fiber channel switches, V switches, that are needed for this environment. So even though this is a new storage group, I didn't have any virtual switches assigned, but now I've got my 2 fiber channel V switches, and obviously I've got my intnet, which is, you know, there by default. So what I can do is I can simply create a server profile. So I click on create, and we'll call this database 1, for example. Submit. And now when I click on add storage, instead of the old method where I would click virtual HBA and then I'd put in my details and pick the appropriate switch to connect to, and then enter, you know, with the boot target, and this is all manual and very cumbersome, it's error prone. What we can do now is we can simply click add, and we can choose storage group. So we click storage group, it lists all the storage groups associated with this LPAN. I've only got one in this case, so I add that particular storage group and click submit, and that does all the configuration for me. So you can see it's assigned the boot settings for the 2 virtual HBAs of VHBA0 and VHBA1. So here's my storage group. Here are my 2 virtual HBAs configured. So if I click on one of these, you know, it's assigned the appropriate worldwide names, everything. I didn't even have to add any worldwide names to my LPAN. So if I go and look at my worldwide names for this LPAN, you can see it's added the 4 worldwide names which are required, 2 for the worldwide port names and 2 for the worldwide node names, and they're for both of the HBAs, the virtual HBAs associated with this pServer profile. And you know, of course, it's configured to be bootable, and if I want to then put a rate limit on, I can do that. So very simple and very easy to manage storage. And of course, you know, going forward we're looking to build on this so that we have write access into the storage array rather than just read-only access. And if we do, you know, add write access to port, what that means is that we can configure, you can give it details about a storage group that you've got assigned in your array, and we can carve that up into LUNs and then take those LUNs and do the appropriate LUN masking and present those out on the appropriate SAN ports, such that pManager can do all the management of the storage array and the server profile, and then all you really need to do is make sure that the appropriate zoning is in place on your physical external SANs and your SAN infrastructure. So we're trying to make it as easy and as simple as possible, and give it more of a feel the way that pManager used to work on, say, pManager 6 platforms or the older BladeFrame platform. And along with doing, you know, obviously you can do everything in the GUI, but if you do want to use the command line interface, you absolutely can do that as well. So if I type, I've logged in here onto my PanOps server, if I type help, we can see there are 3 new commands, SAN, STArray and STGroup. So if I just type SAN, for example, it lists the SANs that are configured. In this case I've got 1 SAN. It tells you the type, which is mirrored, it's fiber channel. There's 1 array associated with this SAN, and there are 5 storage groups, and these are the fiber channel V switches associated with that SAN. If I type STArray, lists all the storage arrays it knows about, and obviously we've only configured this one here, and it tells you the type of interface. So if there are other interfaces that we need to add over time, we can simply add those in the future. And then of course we have STGroup, which lists the storage groups. So here we've got the 5 storage groups, and if need be I can do -L and get more information. So I got the name of the group, the LUN type, the capacity, and you know, the zoning information or the LUN masking information. So there you go. That's storage groups. I hope this was of use. Thanks for watching.